desired outcome. I think it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're getting ready for Dockside at the Bay. Um, the gremlins at YouTube are getting us up and running and live. So we will be live momentarily up over on YouTube at our YouTube channel. No, it's not made for kids. Okay, we're going to get the link. And we are going to go over to Twix, paste, and post. Okay. And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dockside at the Bay. If you see behind me, there is a new logo. It is a new t-shirt over at Suds SQ Circle Pod. Suds Square Circle Pod. Suds Square Circle. Suds Square Circle threadless.com. I get all these things. But either way, you actually go to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/merch, and that brings you to our threadless shop. That is now a shirt. Because I have been calling the Bay the ECW of soap operas, so I decided to make using the ECW font and with Dockside. So hey, it works out. We'll see how it goes. Kim, how are you today?
Doing all right. Doing all right. We had some kind of crazy weather though the past couple of days here in Western New York.
Yeah, well,
Bit of a tornado situation and some flash flooding and all sorts of great stuff like that. So right now, I don't know, it's actually kind of cool out. It's nice. It's
yeah,
rainy. It almost feels like fall. It's a little
it's
bit strange. Not gonna
yeah,
lie.
it's the remnants of Hurricane Debbie or
Yeah.
Tropical Storm Debbie that are coming up the eastern coast. Uh,
Yeah.
but whatever it is, what it is. Today is August 6th, 2024. And as always, I do want to just start off with a couple of announcements. First off, um, the Sudsy Awards are up and live on all of our platforms, YouTube, and I put them on both the Suds and Squared Circle and the Dockside at the Bay podcast feeds. So take a listen, take a watch, and go to Spotify and watch it. So the video's up there as well. Um, we had a great time. Kim did great in her first time as
It
a
was a lot of fun.
presenter.
Got to
Um,
kind of dress up a little bit, got to, read off the little envelope. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
it was, yes, and it was fun. And the way we did it this year was everybody had to watch because everybody who was presenting only knew the winner of what they presented. They didn't know
Hmm.
what the rest of the winners were. So either way, go over there, like the videos, like all of our videos. But definitely hit that subscribe button, get notified, and interact if you're watching. Just comment, interact, like the comments. All of that helps the algorithm and puts our videos up higher when when people get the recommended videos.
Yep.
As always, I do want to let everybody know we are an official affiliate of WWE Shop, which is a Fanatics experience. Go over to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/wrestling merch. That has our affiliate link right in the URL, and whatever you buy from there, we do get a commission off of, and it'll help our show.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. First of all, I do want to announce right now, still working on the logo. So once I get the logo done, I do want to announce that coming up the week of Labor Day, I'm not exactly sure what day yet or what time yet. The week of Labor Day will be the debut of Take Me Down to Studio City. Angela and I will be going over Studio City, starring Sean Kanan and multiple other soap actors. And a lot of the actors from the Bay are over there as well, just like Tristan Rogers, Carolyn Hennessy, and so on and so forth. So definitely check, once that comes closer, pay attention to our Twix feed at Suds SQ Circle Pod, and you will get more information about that. We're also going to start the monthly show called Angela Answers Fan Mail. That's going to be split. You're going to get a half hour on the main feeds, and then the rest of the stuff you're going to have to sign up for our Patreon. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Suds and Squared Circle. We're also going to go up on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Suds and Squared Circle. So check those out. We're going to be coming up with more content going forward. with all of our talent and possibly bring in even more. So I just want to let everybody know that there's a lot coming down the pike. And welcome to the season premiere of Dockside at the Bay. This is season number 2 now. The Sudsies are over, and we're moving on. So, got a lot of stuff to talk about today in our
Yeah.
episodes. It was definitely courtroom chaos.
Oh, for sure. For
Uh,
sure.
Episodes 5 and 6 of season 3 of The Bay. And as always, The Bay can be found on Tubi TV, Amazon Prime, Peacock, as well as Popstar. Um, I have not checked to see if any new shows will be going on for on demand yet. So I will definitely check that out and let everybody know in 2 weeks when we come back. Because remember, we are not here next week. Um, Next Monday and Tuesday, there will be no shows. I'll be out of town. And so no Dockside, no Suds News. We will be back the following week, which will be the 19th and 20th of August. So no shows next week, the 12th and 13th, but we'll be back following that. All right. So want to jump into it?
I mean, these two episodes back to back, there was definitely a lot going on. I felt like the second episode that we saw in this set, it almost felt like it ended very abruptly.
It
And then it was
did.
just just kind of like, oh, okay, now we're done. We fade to black. Okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't even like on a huge like cliffhanger or anything like that. It just kind of, just stopped. I was like, well, okay. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, just a lot to unpack though, for sure. And even in the second episode in the set, I mean, they did have like quite a bit of it featuring the like them being at that concert. But
Yes.
even in that setting, even with like, a musical guest performing, there was still a lot of like background action and things going on. I mean,
There
it
were
was
multiple
just
storylines that kind of converged on that
mhm.
concert.
Absolutely. So it was just an interesting way to just kind of, move stories forward and just kind of have everything kind of progressing. But yeah, no, just a lot to just kind of, unpack here and explore for sure.
Absolutely. We do so let's kind of start with the courtroom drama. That's kind of
Right.
news.
Yeah.
Sara is on her grandfather, Red Garrett, is a
Hmm.
U.S. senator. So the Evan Blackwell, who is the DA, is parading out his witnesses,
Hmm.
including Liza, um,
Yes.
and she's obviously Lex's ex, and also Sarah's aunt. Yeah,
Hmm. Yep. They established that when they kind of have at the top of the episode when they have everyone just kind of convening before court. And
yeah,
they have it where they're talking about, Avery's kind of discussing like, oh, Aunt Liza, testifying and all of this stuff, saying how, oh, well, she was cordial, at Marley's funeral. And then they're even saying like, well, Melody was even saying how, like, well, Liza knows the father that we had. She'll tell court, like the court the truth. But Lex
yeah,
was even saying like, I wouldn't expect that from her. Like they have a feeling that they're in for some rough stuff ahead with the
yeah,
witnesses and the other people that are going to step up and speak for the prosecution. So yeah, they're already kind of setting that tone up, especially with Liza.
yeah,
And Lex is just like he's fully aware. He's just like, yeah, no, it's not going to be
yeah. She's
pretty.
going to try to put the nail in the coffin there.
Hmm.
Do you
Hmm.
think that the one thing I was really getting frustrated with was the amount of time the judge was going after Tobin?
Oh my goodness, I know. It kept, just like objection, objection, and just like, and just kind of, yeah, you could tell that like she kind of has an axe to grind against.
Yeah,
And then you feel like, Brandon Beamer's character can just kind of like, go in
you
like
know,
these soliloquies, long and winding, and no issue. So you can kind of see the writing on the wall where it's like, okay, we know where she lies. We know where she's kind of, she's in a direction that's kind of leaning towards
yeah,
putting Sarah away. So
yeah, and
Tobin's got an uphill battle.
right, a very much uphill battle because he even asks Liza about the vendetta she has against Sarah, and it's like that to me in a regular trial, especially a murder trial, that would be something that would be asked, especially if there's well documented, animosity between the two people. So
Right.
he has everything to gain by saying XYZ to put Sarah out of
Hmm.
normal life, put her
Yep.
in prison.
And it's funny because it just felt like he was constantly having to like kind of like rephrase, restructure what he was saying. She was telling the jury disregard all of this, even though it's like, and Pete even points it out, he's like, what a terrible excuse for a judge. And he says it so
Yeah,
bitterly, but it's the truth because, animosity between you and the defendant because of your, the relationship, Sara having the relationship with Lex. And then it's all like, witness badgering and all this. It's just like, it's infuriating to watch, and it's
it
supposed to
is.
be that way. It's like, it's like the equivalent of like a Law and Order episode where you just see the bad guy just like getting away with it, or like the good guys getting outsmarted. It's just, you fall on that side of it. But it was, I liked seeing Pete so fiery and just
Yes.
like, straight up terrible excuse for a judge, just and him just blowing up. He is very
Yeah.
volatile in that courtroom, but they're also, he can see, what they're doing up there, and he's, seeing it clear as day, and he's not happy about it. So,
It's amazing because we haven't really seen that type of emotion from Pete,
hmm
up until recently. It's like,
yeah.
when he punched Jensen outside the courthouse, and
hmm
then, it's like here, and it makes sense. Obviously, he wants to make sure his mother doesn't go to prison, but at the same time,
Right.
it's like it's a very charged atmosphere for him.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
if you think on it too, it's like everything that he's kind of endured in the wake of, since Sarah was arrested, I mean, his whole life has completely flipped upside down. I mean, he's married now and had to get married as in order to get her out on bail. And now it looks as if like, the case that, he's kind of invested in clearly, because
yeah,
like they sank all this money into like, finding the best defense attorney that money could buy. Defense attorney is his father. I mean, he's got so much tied up in this emotionally.
he
And
does.
then I love how Viv just kept on telling him, like, listen, there's something I need to talk with you about, but the court case comes first. I'll see you
Yeah,
at court. We need to focus on this. Like, she is just keeping him on that track because, she's like, you can't get distracted right now. This is too important. This is too vital to everything
exactly.
going on.
And Vivian does end up telling Pete about, you know, um, the Romantica offer.
hmm
Romantica is a very weird name,
Agreed. Yeah.
just
A little cheesy, a little too convenient, like
yeah,
they could be a little bit more creative on that front, I suppose. But yeah, no, her for a fragrance line too, like, it's just a little too on point.
yeah. Um, but it's like, um, so Pete is really, finding that emotion. And, when Vivian does finally get a chance in the car to tell him about the offer,
Mhm.
she texts Janice right after and says, I need a couple more days.
Yep.
And at this point in time, Janice is already looking at other models.
Yeah.
She wants to hire Tamara.
Yeah, and Tamara, I mean, she's really impressed with like, and that was actually a really cute when Tamara like hands over you can tell like how nervous she is and how she really wants
Yeah.
this. And then for her to get Janice's approval, you just see like that little like gleam in her eyes. She's so happy. I think that's probably the happiest we've ever seen this character.
And
She finally feels like she's getting some
yeah,
validation for work that she's done in the past and feels like she has a rapport with Janice. And you feel for her in that moment. She just, because she looks so hopeful and so cute.
yeah, and it's like it makes sense because we want to see that positivity after the previous times we've kind of seen her as
Right.
more of a victim, more of questioning herself.
Yep. The whole
Somebody with
Chase
low
situation.
self-esteem because she's with somebody who's a serial abuser and a rapist.
Yes.
So it's it's good to see her kind of positive and kind of you
Right.
know
It's like a new thing for the character. It's kind of like
right.
when you see it's almost like with Janice and with Liana too, where it's like they've been in like just these like perpetually like difficult, tough situations where they get like a little glimmer of happiness and
Yes.
you're just like, "Oh, yay, they finally have a moment where they can actually just kind of like, breathe and be and smile and be happy." And it's kind of rare because I mean, typical kind of soap opera heroine fare when it's just like, they just get rocks thrown at them constantly
Yeah.
and like they cannot be happy for longer than like a second, but in the few moments that they can be. And I just it was but yeah, like she's approaching Tamara for this job and she's content to kind of bring her on, kind of avoid the Vivian, but Riley is really pushing for her to like, just give Vivian a chance. She's the perfect fit, face for this, everything. So,
Yeah.
But Riley also had kind of a cute moment too when she's trying to she sees John Blackwell show up at the office,
Yeah.
and I cleared your schedule. Oh, because she's like all just she's happy to see Janice like finally getting
Yeah.
some potential love interest and all of this stuff, and you just see her in the background just kind of like, oh yeah, I gotta set this up. Oh yeah, don't worry, they're all taken care of, you can go.
Yeah.
So kind
Yeah.
of cute little moment there, I thought.
Yeah. No, I like that. And it's like I like the pairing of John and Janice.
I do too. I
You
think their
know,
chemistry is like very, the scene where they're walking down by the pier eating the corn dogs with the
yeah.
mustard, and just like they're kind of even trying to like get into each other's headspace a little bit. They're talking about Sara, and neither of them really want to like get into it though. They're almost like just content to enjoy each other's company and not really delve into like, because she starts asking him about like, Jack and everything like that. I liked that one line too that he had, and it was just brief, but Jack's always like Janice was saying how Jack's always been good to her, and then John Blackwell's all people don't really know him, don't really know him like me, or the people that don't know him tend to like him, but I'd
Yeah.
like to like him too. And it was just like, oh, John Blackwell. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're seeing like a softer side of him too
Right.
around Janice, which is really
Almost like
nice.
the vendetta that he's had.
Hmm.
Because to be completely honest, it's like he came back to town for vengeance, and it's almost like he had to put his foot in his mouth because
Hmm.
first off, he gives the information about Sara and the murder and the information he had, and then come to find out it's Sarah's daughter that helped his son live because of
Yes,
the Marley's transplant.
right.
Then it's like with Jack, he shoots him in the leg or whatever, and it's like he almost, I think we saw it last time, that he kind of set Orchid up to take the fall because
Yes.
he gave her the gun, with the fingerprints and everything,
Hmm.
um, and it was brought up today about how there were eyewitnesses that saw John Blackwell giving the gun to Orchid, but then they checked and they found the John Blackwell at the restaurant, which
Yeah, yeah. That guy that went, yeah. So he had his little
where
alibi
how he's
all.
in two places at once.
Hmm. Yep. But even when John Blackwell even says like, he doesn't even really have an issue with Sara. He
Right?
says flat out, it's really all stems from, the situation with our father, with Jack. But it's so interesting because it's like the two of them both have just legitimate grit, but they're both like they're content to just kind of put it aside and just kind of
Yeah,
focus on, and even this was another moment that I just thought was so cute when he's like, I'd like to take you to a music concert on the pier. He
yeah,
says that it's just like such like an awkward kind of cute way, like a music concert. I was just
yeah.
like, that's adorable.
Almost like he was unsure of how to,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I want to take you to a concert. I want to take, it's like almost like
Yeah.
high school type of,
But then, it kind of shifts a little bit in the, just following that thread when they get into, because he's good friends with the musician.
yeah,
And then he's kind of walking around and it's like, oh, hey, John Blackwell has a friend.
yeah.
And he's kind of a
And
cool
that
guy.
Huey guy is actually a real singer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, very talented guy. But yeah, and you can see too, it's just, you could tell the cast was just having fun
yeah,
in like that like in the way that like they're just dancing, and they even showed like Orchid up on stage like kind of dancing up against it's just like you could tell that they all kind of were using that as like, yeah, hey, we're filming this concert scene, but this is a really cool act that we
yeah,
got booked for this, and you could tell they're just having fun and it's fun to watch.
yeah. And there were like I said, there were multiple characters there because you had John there and John and Janice there on a date. Then you had Will and Liana there on a date.
Hmm. And you
Um,
have Daniel in the background
Daniel,
too, because he's event promoter now. And,
yeah,
so he has, kind of clever way to kind of insert him into that whole situation.
yeah.
So,
And then Tamara and I keep forgetting the other cop's name.
oh,
Uh,
Colton. I had to
Colton,
look
yeah,
it up. I keep on forgetting it too. Yeah.
yeah, Colton
And
and Tamara.
Colton, we see a lot of layers to his character too,
Yeah,
in just, the brief scenes that we get with him, it lays out a lot, just his
and there's a
kind of
lot of
neat.
contradictory.
Mm.
layers to him because
Hmm.
later on, they're kind of after the concert, they're under the boardwalk and
Yeah.
just making out and getting ready to go for it. And,
Yeah.
just, and that was just very, I don't know, that was a very awkward situation that I was looking at because Tamara's just getting out of this toxic relationship.
Yeah.
It's like now it almost feels like Colton is taking advantage of her.
That's definitely the sense that you get, because even like him saying like, well, I wanted to get the tickets. Well, he gets all kind of like he's rubbed the wrong way when Daniel kind of is like giving him the VIP treatment, and
Yep.
because he's thinking like, oh, I just flashed my badge, oh, I can get in anywhere I want, oh, I can just handle all of this, and then that's taken away from him. You can see that he's got like some control
Yes.
issues and is like kind of a controlling personality. And it's like you worry, like Tamara looks, it's almost like she's kind of going from the frying pan into the fire a little bit, you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
going from one
although
situation into one that could potentially be a little bit difficult to navigate as well.
although most cops and prison guards do have a control issue. You
Yeah,
know, I
yeah.
mean that's just something that you see in real life.
But
But still, for Tamara to go from one extreme to the other, but they
yeah.
both have that same control problem.
Right. And I mean, you kind of like, you want to see, like, because even like in the previous episode when they showed Colton like with his younger brother and things like that, you think, oh, this guy's a good fit
Yeah,
for her and all of this. You're kind of hopeful, but then you start seeing these other facets and you're just kind of like, ooh, wait a minute. And then,
yeah,
you start feeling kind of concerned. And because even, when they showed Tamara in the diner kind of sitting by herself, and Mickey gives her the piece of pie, just saying, you look famished, you need to eat something, you need to take
yeah,
care of yourself. You kind of She had just had that interview with Janice, but she's clearly, still kind of in like this just vulnerable place because of the whole chase, being in court,
yeah.
things like that. And that conversation with Mickey I thought was really powerful too.
It was because she's like, you know, because she said, has it was something to the effect of, have did you ever see any good, or did you ever,
Yeah,
see this in him? And she's like, um, he's always been that way.
right.
Something to
She
that
just
effect.
basically says like, I had my blinders on and I
Yeah,
didn't see it until it was too late. But she says like he was just like born bad. I can't remember what the
yeah,
exact wording was, but it was just a very intense scene. And you just feel for both of them in that moment. And but right on cue almost, it's like, Tamara's in kind of this vulnerable sort of place. She's not sure about this new job. It might be working out for her, it might not be. She's still all in this place of her chase. And then he just kind of swoops right in and says, oh, well, I'm going to make the lady fall in love with me. And it's just like, ooh, red flag.
yeah,
Be careful.
yep,
So yeah, tricky stuff for like, it's like, because nobody can win. Nobody can be happy for an extended amount of time.
yeah. No, and you kind of feel for her because she's in a very vulnerable place, and she's
Absolutely.
kind of questioning all of her stuff. So that's why it's like I really liked, when she was with Janice and the opportunity that came up
Right.
with Romantica, because it kind of gives her that little inkling of control of her own life.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know,
And it's nice to see it because you want to see this character like, succeed and thrive. And she's just been like beaten down so many different times, figuratively, literally, all of this stuff. So you just want to see it where she finds some success and finds some, something to latch onto.
yeah,
And but you're not even sure at that point because you have Riley who's rooting for her to, hire Viv. And then
yeah,
I did, even with Viv though too, I did some of her scenes when she's in like court trying to negotiate, or like texting, being all like, I'm not really sure about the position or anything like that just yet. I don't know, just her mannerisms and just like her kind of just, I don't know, just watching her. I like that actress so much, and I just think that she just brought like, just kind of this funny little
kind of
layer to it.
kind of like a laissez-faire type attitude towards it. Like
Hmm.
she realizes that theoretically she doesn't have to work,
Right,
right? Because Pete
right.
is loaded, number one. Number two, she's going to school, so she
Yeah.
end up getting her education, getting a better job.
Hmm.
So she doesn't have to model.
Right,
I
exactly.
think she realizes that this is A, for Janice to kind of come to her. I know she's still a little skeptical about if Janice has anything up her sleeve or what the angle is.
Hmm.
But I also feel like there's always that um there's always that need again for a lot of women to feel, you know, uh yearned for, or you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah,
want.
like a little bit like kind of, a little pursued in that sense,
Yeah,
like, hey, you want me to like, do something that's a little bit not
exactly.
necessarily something I need to do and it's a little outside my comfort zone, but I feel flattered that you'd kind of reach out to me about,
Yeah,
like she's got kind of an interesting at just like her whole kind of stance in this entire, and she also too kind of has to be, I mean, at one point she's even like, she's very reassuring and very supportive obviously of Pete being there for the
yeah,
whole, situation that's going on with Sara, but she's like also trying to like play peacemaker because you have that tension there with Adam.
yeah.
You have that one, she kind of in that moment has to like shift gears a little bit, not just, she's like, okay, yeah, we need to just like get out of here, like, get away from like, because clearly she can see tension between the two of them, and she's just trying to like play peacemaker in that moment too. So she had to wear a
Yeah,
lot of different hats.
she really did. And kudos to I don't even know how to pronounce her real name, Caruche.
Crochet, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's just, it's funny going back and just kind of rewatching, just even like someone like her little like mannerisms and stuff like that. Like she's
yeah,
just, no, definitely. She's probably like, one of my faves on the show. And it's just fun to like see her back in like this early kind of stage of things.
yeah,
But even that one scene though with Adam, I forgot how like that intensity between him and Pete, you got, because it was a
yeah,
brief scene, but like Adam just kind of bluntly saying like, well, Pete's like, I'm kind of busy, which he is. He's legitimately
sure.
like, got a lot on his mind. And then he's like, oh, well, I didn't realize, Pete Garrett was such an asshole, just like, just okay, you're just going to be like very blunt. And
Yep.
then he just flat out says, I keep trying to make conversation with you. You keep blowing me off. If you have a problem with Tobin, you shouldn't have a problem with me. And then Pete even seems like he's like, trying to show some, he realizes, yeah, I have been kind of blowing this dude off. But, even so, it's just like, you got that interesting kind of tension there. And knowing what we know about Adam, it's interesting to see that all play out.
It really is. I agree. All right, let's kind of move on.
Yeah,
We kind of started with the court and went all over the place.
we kind of
Uh,
did.
but
Sorry about that.
it's all right. No, no, no. That's just the way the story went, because you were
Yeah,
able to from one to the other. Um,
yeah,
on in episode 6, um, uh, Evan brings out his smoking gun and it's
yes.
Connor.
Yep, that was the
That
fun
was
little
a shock.
cliffhanger. Yeah. And with that whole situation, I mean, like, they're just eyeing her. They're just, okay, what's on deck for us now? You could just see like the panic in like Tobin's face. He's just like, what are we up against
Yeah,
now? And to be her story though sounds so rehearsed. It's like it's
yeah.
just so like, oh yeah, I saved memorabilia from going to the fair every weekend, and just the way like I was separated from my father and I went to the beach where we waded by the water. It just sounds
And she
like
can't be any more than, 30, 35 years old.
right.
So it's like this had to be that she was, in her youth, like earlier
Like
than
a
20 years old.
kid, like a
Yeah,
little kid, and I mean, granted, yeah, like I mean, I've got a halfway decent memory, but like
right.
that's, it just it just felt like such a performance. And then even like, Pete calling it out and just being like, how can you like, you're lying through your teeth right now, full,
Yeah,
full of shit, all of this. I mean, he just goes off again and like, tell me the jury isn't buying this shit, all of this stuff, because it just feels
yep,
so. And then like even when Evan Blackwell comes up with the bear and he's just like, oh yeah, look at, here's a bear I'm introducing into evidence, and here's a ticket stub I'm introducing. It's just so convenient. It's just
yeah.
so, you know, just the bear
Again,
just cracked me up.
Arthur's trying to establish the fact that she has a partnership, for lack of a better term, with
Hmm.
Jensen,
Yeah.
with Sarah's husband. And again, he's being shot down as
Oh
to,
yeah, they start making it seem like, oh yeah, like that's not relevant. It's like, of course it's relevant. Like, what are you
yeah,
what are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
It's just, and they keep on going after Tobin, saying like, because Tobin is like saying like, well, kids at that age, like, they have fantasies and they pretend, and it's an
Yeah,
impressionable age and all of this, and they just keep up, well, you're not a qualified shrink, you can't speak
right.
to that, and it's just, but it, just it was so just blatant that, like, and it was just funny watching it all like shake out again. But for some reason, the teddy bear, when he just walks up holding that, do you remember this bear?
Yeah.
It's just like he's in pretty
It,
good
it,
condition, all things considered.
yeah. And it really did seem very, very rehearsed, which we know it was, but it's just,
Yeah.
you know, almost like looking at it from the third point of view is that, uh,
Hmm.
or should I say, in the courtroom, they don't know shit from apple butter.
Hmm.
But
Right.
at this point in time, I wouldn't believe anything she said, even if her tongue was notarized.
Yeah. I mean, because for her story to just be like, yes, I saw it and I saw her shoot him and I saw her put, it's like, if you saw that as a child,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
would be
you'd be a
in
lot more
major
screwed up.
therapy. Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
exactly. Could we call into evidence your therapy bills as a child?
right.
Like, that would have been my question. Like,
See,
but if at like the age of like 9 or 10 years old, you saw somebody legitimately kill someone and hold their head underwater, that would be a traumatic
yeah,
experience, I would think.
yeah. That would cause you to be a little bit less poised than,
Yes.
like, than you are retelling this whole horrific
Yeah.
event up,
I mean,
in front
especially
of
if,
a jury.
I mean, if your parents come home and you see holding your, Barbie's head underwater to try to drown her because you're acting out what you saw, there's going to be some questions. So,
Yeah, just
yeah,
felt a little, and it's funny too, because like they even at the very end of the episode, they even have it where, like, they're trying to figure out like when the last time they even saw Joe was. Oh, the last time, on Steve's arm at the wedding. It's like,
yep,
it's just so convenient. And then you've got like, Steve just kind of standing there, and then Pete just yelling at him, "You're a piece," because Pete knows. He's just like,
yeah,
"Yeah, Jensen's all wrapped up in this," and obviously, and then he feels bad because he doesn't want to open up another can of worms, and get like, charged with like contempt of court or something like that. And then Adam like saying, "It's okay, it's all for your mom," and then the episode just ended, and I'm just like,
yeah,
"Whoa, okay," like that just quick fade to black there, you
yeah,
know because normally it's like, we're used to seeing like the crazy cliffhanger. We're used to just, it was just very like, oh nope, okay, this
yeah.
is
It
where
was
it's
just,
stopping.
yeah, abrupt. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because that part comes when Pete sees Jensen in the hallway with his attorney. Because
Mhm.
Lex questions, well, what motivation does she have to lie or whatever? Because
Right.
they're all in agreement that she's lying. And
Yes.
and then they see Steve talking to his attorney, and
Hmm.
that's when Pete goes off and he's about ready to go give him another right hook.
Yep.
But Adam holds him back,
Yeah.
and
Adam trying to be brotherly, and like, we're doing this all for your mother. Well,
yeah,
she's my mom too, though. You don't know that yet, but
right, exactly.
just so
Um,
many layers. But yeah, just I couldn't get over how abrupt that ending was. Just kind of unusual for this show. But and there was still, I mean, other elements. I mean, we still had like, some like Daniel stuff to kind of sift through, and all like, kind of after the concert, all the
yeah.
couples kind of respective, like going their own separate ways. And
Will and Liana had a really good scene, and I liked
oh
that
yeah,
scene where Liana's like, I can't read you. Like we're on, we're off, are we friends, are
because
we
she's
not?
kind of speaking for the audience in that
Yeah,
moment, because we're kind of unsure where Will really is, where his head is when it comes to Liana. Like, because,
yeah,
we've seen like them being friendly, but we've seen him be kind of cold towards her, but we've seen them kind of romantic. It's just like it's kind of so it was kind of cool to just see her vocalize that and
it
just
was.
kind of be like, what exactly are we? But it was kind of funny too, where she just kept on like cutting him off, like wanting to have a conversation, but not wanting to have the conversation. And then he just flat out says, like, what you're saying isn't stupid. Let me say if it's stupid or if it's not. And
Yeah,
I loved that, like that moment. I think I saw like kind of more chemistry between the two of them in that scene than I have
yeah.
previously. I
I
think,
did too, and I really liked how, you know, Liana would kept jumping to conclusions about what Will was saying. Like, could you let me finish? you
Mm-hmm.
know, and
Yep.
and he said, we should have happened a long time ago, and
Right.
so Leon was like, is that a yes? um, and they end up, kissing and whatever. So they're officially together finally.
Yeah. And then the whole bit about like, wanting to go to the Patrick's Roadhouse again and like, he just all he wants is chili. It's chili's
Yeah,
the new donut. Just like more kind of, just good dialogue, cute chemistry. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite scenes that the two of them have shared,
yeah.
thus far. So,
Oh, absolutely, I agree.
yeah, because it just
Uh,
kind of defines them and puts a point on like where they are, and it establishes them in such a way that's just it's cute and it's nice,
yeah.
and it kind of offsets because it does bum me out that like Janice kind of slams the brakes on her and John Blackwell.
Well, I yes and no. Like I understand the way that she's feeling, where she's still technically, I mean, getting over Pete. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because it took her a long time to even accept the fact that she cared about him that way.
hmm,
That instead of just
right,
being, a hookup situation. So
right.
for that, and then to come to find out, okay, well, he's married, and he offered to marry me. He asked me to marry him, but I wasn't in the right
Yeah.
space.
Oh
So
no, there's definitely a lot of, turmoil in that whole situation, and she is just kind of coming out of that. I mean, in most cases, John Blackwell will be nothing more than a transitional man.
right,
But at the same time, because I from what I remember, they don't really beyond this, the two of them don't really have too much in way of like unless I'm remembering incorrectly, I want to say that like they kind of put the pause on them here and then we don't really revisit them too much. So
well, we'll have to wait and see.
yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I just kind of felt like this was just kind of because it just felt kind of final. And then I'm thinking like I remember liking them, and I remember being a little bummed that this was kind of like it felt like kind of an end of the road for them, just because I thought the chemistry there was like really cute and
Yeah,
really sweet, and we just kind of see vulnerable sides of them. But even like the parting line, like, can I blame it on the corn dogs? No, blame it on the mustard. You
yeah,
know, all the
exactly.
little food references with these
But
couples. It
it,
was
but it
just
was
cute.
such a cute scene because it's like you almost envision when couples, especially on soap operas and especially on a web soap, are walking down with something like a corn dog or a lollipop or something. You almost think where it's going to end up being more of an innuendo type of dialogue,
Mm,
with licking.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I
There's
mean? So
ways that can go. Yes.
right. So just the fact that they were really enjoying the corn dog and just the
Yeah. It
banter
was
back and forth, and it was just
yeah. It
it
was
was
just a
just
nice
harmless
little
flirtation.
yes. It was a wholesome, sweet, nice kind of, a little chance for them to kind of get a break. And I think that's how Janice even put it. Like, I needed a break,
Yeah,
but it's too soon. I'm not ready. And it totally makes sense given like,
but
everything that we've seen her endure and everything like that. And even, John Blackwell says like there's no reason to rush. It's just but it was just I like I like their dynamic so much, and I thought that
I
it
do too. Absolutely.
reflected really well there, and it was very sweet. And heck, even like when they're backstage with Huey, like you see
Yeah.
Janice there, and she just it looks more just like comfortable and more happy than we've seen her in what feels like
It's
such a
like
long.
she's kind of taking everything in. She's got her glass of
Hmm.
wine, and
Yeah.
it's almost like she feels important because he's introducing her to his friend, even
Hmm.
though it happens to be a Grammy Award winning artist.
Yes.
But
Yes.
still, the fact that she's with him, and it kind of, yeah, it does. It's kind of more of a comfort. Let whatever happens happens. Like
Hmm.
I'm not here as the CEO of Romantica, to the point where I'm looking at talent. I'm not
Right.
scouting talent. I'm just here to have fun.
Yes, exactly. We just see her like getting a chance to kind of be like, lighthearted, and she's joking around with the artist Huey,
Yep.
just kind of and just bantering back and forth in Spanish and everything. And it's just a nice kind of setting to see that character in, given everything
Yeah.
that she's been through. So, just nice change of pace. And I mean, you kind of have even with Daniel, because he's like, kind of getting moments like he gets to like get up on stage and introduce this guy and just kind of be
Mhm.
in his element and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take my sister, which I know that like Tamara is related, but when he said flat out, oh, I'll do anything for my sister, it's like I forget, because it's like him and Avery
Yeah,
forget that Tamara's linked in with that, it's just it was like, wait, okay, yes, no, she is. Technically, yes,
yeah.
she
I
is your
didn't
sister, but
realize they were. I didn't realize that she was a sibling. I thought she was another cousin.
I kind of thought that too, but then it's just like, it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
It was just kind of funny seeing him say that and be all like, "Oh yeah, anything for my sister." It's like, "Oh, okay."
yeah.
But you got Daniel kind of in his element and all of this, and then Matthew though comes into the fold again at the very end and goes and talks to him, and then he just kind of reverts back into like that,
I think
like,
yeah, because Daniel's definitely in denial at this point.
yep,
But because
yep.
we see when Matthew first gets to the club, and he's like, it's okay, your secret is safe with me, and
Yeah, and he's
it was
very like calm
great.
and reassuring and just
Yeah,
telling him like everything's going to be all right, and he's still like clinging to it. Oh no, I just signed up on that app for a joke. It's all
yeah,
just a scam. Like I was just scamming you. Like he's still falling back on that cuz he just can't
yeah.
fully, you know. And it was kind of funny too. They even had that one moment where Orchid is trying to use her connection to Daniel to get into the club, and he just blows her off. And it's like, okay, there's a little symbolism there too. It's like he's blowing off everything that Orchid kind of told him
Yeah.
to a degree, but he's also just blowing her off in general. And then Terry Ivan's just kind of like standing there, like looking all dejected and just like, wait, like cute little moment, but also a little symbolic there. He's because he just everything that she kind of tried to drill into his head about like it clearly didn't stick. He's not in a place right now where he's ready to
Yeah,
accept that part of himself. So, or
exactly.
accept Orchid into the club. So,
Right. Yeah. Um, no, I look at Daniel and I see just a lot of denial, and just the fact that he, what he really feels is in opposition to what he thinks he has to portray,
yep. Hmm.
you know?
Absolutely. It's just and it just shows that like his kind of journey, it's still going to take him a long ways to kind of get to a point where he's bantering with like his significant other over like corn dogs on the pier, or
Yeah.
he's not quite there yet,
But
but
at the very end, Matthew does come over and say, hey, some of us are going out to party.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
that perks up Daniel's ears.
Yeah, because he's more comfortable in that kind of aspect where it's just
And
like, yep.
and I think yeah, I think he's more comfortable because he can get drunk, he can get
Hmm.
high, he can lose his inhibitions, and then if he does hook up with a guy or whatever,
Yeah,
he won't care so much because
right.
he
He's
can
more
always
prepared
be
to do
under.
it with like that kind of situation in place versus just owning up to a lot of
Yeah,
things. But yeah, no, just but I just love how they twined all of that into like, just like that concert setting. It was just like a
yeah,
cool imaginative way to just kind of like, show these different characters and these different kind of stages and things and where they're at. And it was nice having that kind of contrast up against the court stuff too. Because
yes,
if it had just been all trial, it would have been like definitely compelling, definitely, but like such a juxtaposition between the two and so much,
yeah,
different stuff
and it
taking
just
place in
goes to
different.
show you just the contrasts of court concert. And
Right.
like there's clearly a bunch of characters at the courthouse because that's what they're focusing on.
Hmm.
But what really got me was it just felt like the concert was midday as opposed to night.
Yeah.
It's almost like because when Tamara and Colton were under the bridge, it still looked like it was dusk out, right?
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't pitch black. Because I mean, theoretically speaking, if you're going to go do something like that on the beach, you're going to want it pitch black, because no one's around, can't see anything, and you're under the
Yeah.
boardwalk.
I guess they were just kind of like, yeah, you know what, we're pretty. Nobody's gonna care.
Right. Yeah.
It was kind of funny too. There was even like, they had like kind of a serious moment in court, and then all of a sudden they had some salsa music as like a
Yeah.
transition before they let into the club, and I just made a note of that. It's like, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh no, we're just transitioning straight out of this, and then yeah, Huey Dunbar.
Yeah. But I think we've kind of gone over everything. I
I
mean,
think so too. I think so too. I think we covered all the bases.
there were the two major scenes that were just umbrellas of everything.
Hmm. And then nothing to really, in terms of like even like a cliffhanger. Like obviously we know it's going to pick up,
Yeah,
in court and things like that. And obviously we know that like they've wrapped at the concert, but yeah, still was just, taken by that ending. I was just like, wow, okay, this is where it's stopping. All
yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah,
Well, it leaves you wanting more though, which
it
is
does.
what it's designed to do. So,
It does.
mhm.
All right. Well, I think we kind of covered everything.
Yeah.
Went over all of our notes, and episodes 5 and 6 of the Bay are in the books.
Yes, they
And
are. Yes,
not
they
next
are.
week. In 2 weeks, we'll be going over episodes 7 and 8 of season 3.
Right.
Remember, no episodes next week. I am out of town. Um, so I will not be here. So no Suds, no Dockside. Um, but we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Which would be the 20th. Yeah, 20th, right?
I believe
Um,
so.
yeah, the 20th of August, 2 days before my birthday.
Oh,
Um, so we will be here at that point in time. Um, all
sounds like a
right.
plan.
Anything further? Any other further comments?
I think I don't know, I think I covered everything. Yeah, nothing else really noteworthy that I had, unless there's something else that you wanted to touch on.
No, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think
All
so
right.
too.
So for again, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, get notified.
Yes.
Leave a comment. Or even if you just like a comment, if
Mhm.
one's there, it helps with the algorithm. Go check
Yep.
out the
Any
Sunday Award.
engagement at all will definitely,
Yes,
help
any
the
kind of
cause.
engagement. And go check out the Suds Awards. They're right here on YouTube. They're on Spotify under both feeds, Dockside at the Bay, and also Suds and Squared Circle, and they're both on the YouTube feed on both YouTube feeds as well. So check those out. Remember, when you get to the in memoriam, if you're listening on podcasts, there's going to be music for like 5 minutes. But again, and then stay tuned to our Twix account at Suds SQ Circle Pod. Go and keep track, or anything you need to know is going to be posted from there. Um, Stay tuned to the Twix account updates of Take Me Down to Studio City as we get closer and closer to Labor Day. Um, that is the show that was developed by Sean Kanan, former AJ from General Hospital, and he's currently Deacon on Bold and the Beautiful. So definitely check that out. It also does star Tristan Rogers, Carolyn Hennessy, and other people that have been on the Bay as well. They're short episodes. They are available on the Roku channel. And like that's even more obscure than the Bay. Um, the Roku channel, and I think there's one other place I watch it, but I can't remember. But it's just like you have to search for it.
But it's worth it.
It really is. It's a good show. Watched the first couple episodes. It's a good show. It's the premise of the Studio City is that it's a soap opera about producing a soap opera.
Sounds
So it's
Yeah,
yeah,
sounds like inside baseball a little bit. Sounds like it could be kind
exactly.
of
It
yeah.
is. So yeah, check that out. And let's see. That's pretty much it. Again, we are an affiliate for WWE Shop. Go over to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/wrestling merch. That has our affiliate code in the link. So that'll help us out. And anything you buy gets us a commission, whether it's WrestleMania merchandise or anything of your favorite, um, your favorite wrestlers. Go over to our Threadless page, which is suds square circle.threadless.com. Buy this new shirt, Doc F inside, and definitely check that out. As well as everything else that's up there. I do have the shirt up there that says Diane, business in the streets, freak in the sheets, based on Carolyn Hennessy's character from General Hospital, Diane Miller, because she's a great attorney in the courtroom, but when she comes to the bedroom, she's definitely freaky from all accounts. Um, and it's the character, not Carolyn Hennessy. It's the character of Diane. So keep that in mind if you're going to buy it. All right, but outside of that, we are done. We are out of time. So for Kim, I'm Vinny. We will see you in 2 weeks. Dockside at the Bay.
Take care, everybody.
Have
Have a good
a
evening.
great week, everybody.